Police and the public weighing in today. The debate this morning over a proposed increase to the SDPD's budget. The city says it's increasing funding and what exactly critics are calling for. Cleanup underway after a big mess this morning. The incident that flooded a neighborhood and threatened to force hundreds to evacuate their homes. And Pfizer seeking full approval from the FDA for its COVID vaccine. What that could mean going forward and how experts say it could help the race toward herd immunity. ABC 10 News at 11 starts now.
ABC 10 News at 11 starts now.
And welcome this midday. Great to have you with us. I'm Jim Patton. I'm joined remotely by my co-anchor Virginia Cha and 10 News meteorologist Megan Perry. Great to see the two of you, and we'll be with you very shortly. Well, we start with the latest in the fallout of the death of George Floyd. The 4 officers involved in that arrest indicted today, accused of civil rights violations. The 3 former officers, aside from Derek Chauvin, appeared in court today virtually. And these new charges coming on top of state charges for these officers accused of aiding and abetting murder and manslaughter, which Chauvin was convicted of. Now, Chauvin is now facing federal charges for the Floyd arrest and another incident in 2017. He's awaiting sentencing on that state murder conviction. A conviction on federal civil rights violations could come with a punishment of up to life in prison, but sentencing guidelines typically result in a lighter punishment.
Meanwhile, here in San Diego, a new focus in the debate over police reform. The public and SDPD weighing in on the department's proposed budget for the upcoming year. Local activists are calling for budget cuts, but the city says it's not that simple. ABC 10 News reporter Marie Cornell has the details.
Part of Mayor Todd Gloria's budget proposal includes a $19 million increase for the San Diego Police Department. Today, during the city's budget committee hearing, representatives from the police department laid out the reasons why they need this funding. They say they've been hit by the pandemic too. For instance, not getting money from overseeing events is hurting their bottom line, so they need the city to help make up that difference. They also say paying pensions is a big chunk of their budget.
$15.1 million for obligated pension payments, $4.5 million allocation for non-discretionary expenditures. Examples include vehicle fleet expenses, fleet fuel, gas, electricity, etc.
It's not about the pensions. It's not about, details about recruitment and vacancy rates and those type of things. It's really about moving positions and functions out of the police department.
Kiara Pena is a member of the Community Budget Alliance. She was among the many callers who weighed in during the hearing with her opinion about funding for the police. She believes the money should be reallocated to other projects and departments, suggesting that some police responsibilities should be reassigned.
This year, instead of adding to an already bloated police budget, we really want to do that reimagining of public safety, funding alternatives to policing, community care, housing, equitable job opportunities, parks, and long-term programs like youth and young adult violence intervention programs.
ABC 10 News reached out to Mayor Todd Gloria about the police funding concerns, and his office sent this statement over saying, quote, funding the police department aligns with the notion that police practices must evolve and still allows us to invest in our communities. With violence increasing in San Diego, I have proposed a sensible budget that will make our city safer. The council has until June to finalize the budget. Marie Cornell, ABC 10 News.
Multiple condos flooded. This after an overflowing water tower in Rancho San Diego causes water to run down a hill and rush right into people's homes. ABC 10 News reporter Nate Holmes shows us the damage and what's next for these homeowners.
A total of 8 units had water rushing inside of them. Nearly a dozen people displaced this morning, but the neighbors tell me that they are just thankful it wasn't worse than it is. A nerve-wracking sight for neighbors in the Rancho Villas condominiums as they woke up to gushing water.
And I opened our balcony and all I see is water just pouring down the hill.
Neighbor Christy Delgado says her first instinct was to get out.
Grab my son and get out. It was scary. I'm sorry, I'm a little emotional, but it was really scary. You have a 10-month-old and you don't know what's happening.
Fire crews initially thought the water tower had a large leak, causing the massive flow into the complex.
The tank was intact, but that there was an overflow valve, a very large pipe diverting water out of the tank and into the concrete culvert.
Some neighbors like Delgado only had water run into their patios, but others like Barbara Davis weren't so lucky.
And you're going to have to do the flooring and drywall and paint, and I got to get new furniture downstairs.
Water in her condo was ankle deep. Davis says she thought the sounds of gushing water was a change in weather.
The next thing I know, firefighters are banging on the door, and I come downstairs and everything's flooded.
The battalion chief says they estimate this tank can hold up to 1 million gallons of water. Luckily, the overflow was a quick fix, but had it been worse,
This entire complex and the community adjacent to us off of Wighorse would have been flooded with mud and rocks and trees, and so it could have been a major disaster.
the neighbors tell me they are now just working on cleanup and will be contacting their insurance companies to get everything figured out. In Rancho San Diego, Nate Holmes, ABC 10 News.
This morning, Pfizer is moving ahead to seek full approval from the FDA for its coronavirus vaccine. From the start, the vaccine has been distributed to people 16 and up under emergency use authorization. That's part of the accelerated timeline drug makers were working with. Full approval, though, would signal more definitively the safety of Pfizer's vaccine, backed by more data now. Some groups and schools will only require getting vaccines if they have full approval. Health experts hoping this higher hurdle can also sway those who've been on the fence. Pfizer is also eyeing emergency use authorization for younger children by fall.
Researchers at UC San Francisco say our state could reach herd immunity by mid-June. They say by that time, immunity levels will overpower any ongoing transmissions in our state. June 15th is the day that Governor Gavin Newsom plans to fully reopen California's economy.
This is the green tier that we're off restrictions, and then he's going to have to open up more without masks. And all of that will show us as we mingle that the cases aren't going up when you have enough of the population being immune.
San Diego County's goal is to get at least 75% of people 16 and older fully vaccinated. Although our case rate is down this week, County Supervisor Nathan Fletcher says we will likely stay in the orange tier. And stay tuned. Coming up at 11:30, we're going to talk with a local doctor about San Diego's pursuit of herd immunity and a recent testing day that had remarkable results for the first time in more than a year. Cyber attack disrupting Scripps Health continues almost a week after it was discovered, and patients say their care is being impacted. As of now, there's no definite date or time for when the system could be back online, but Scripps says they are working with technical teams around the clock. However, while those teams work, patients say that they are having a hard time getting the care they need, and they are worried.
When you have autoimmune conditions and cancer and all kinds of stuff going on, they really need to communicate with somebody to tell them what in the world's going on and where should we go to get care.
In the days since the network outage was first detected, Scripps has only said it was malware that caused this cybersecurity issue.
Now to the latest on the push for economic recovery more than a year into the pandemic. Unemployment filings hitting a pandemic low, but the latest jobs report caught some economists off guard. Fewer jobs added than expected last month. ABC's Alex Perche has the latest.
With the Biden presidency just over 100 days old, Americans are getting a new economic bellwether. The Bureau of Labor Statistics reports just 266,000 jobs were added in April. The unemployment rate is also slightly higher, 6.1%.
Many employees are still fearful about the virus itself. They're afraid of getting sick. Childcare is a huge issue because schools in many places still are not in session. And then you have those enhanced unemployment benefits. That also is a reason people say they're not returning to work.
April's numbers are much less than the 1 million new jobs economists expected. Losses in sectors like temporary help services, transportation, and retail offsetting growth in the leisure and hospitality sector as states navigate rolling back their coronavirus restrictions.
You know, I think there's a fine line of trying to open up stuff and kind of restart the economy and also, you know, being cautious as well.
Job creation has been a big focus of President Biden. After yesterday's weekly jobless report showed first-time unemployment claims fell to the lowest level since the pandemic began, The president pitched more than $4 trillion in proposed spending on infrastructure and education.
Some critics said that we didn't need the American Rescue Plan, that this economy would just heal itself. Today's report just underscores, in my view, how vital the actions we're taking are.
Biden set to have his first White House meeting with the 4 congressional leaders: McConnell, House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy, Speaker Pelosi, and Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer next week. Alex Perche, ABC News, Washington.
Lifeguards responding this morning after discovering an overturned boat that was leaking gasoline. Sky 10 was overhead as lifeguards towed the boat in Mission Bay around 7. No one was seen nearby. Lifeguards even deployed a diver to go into the water and check underneath the boat, but found nothing. No word on who the boat may have belonged to. A county environmental agency is now looking into the gas leak.